Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our fifth and final edition of our, we'll say for now, season one of the Diamond Night Studios interview series. We have a special guest in the studio today, another composer, Lina Breining from NYU, currently in New York. Uh, uh, Lina is actually a really special guest because I had the privilege of going to school with her and getting to know her before she went off to New York to study her master's in screen scoring. So we're really happy to have Lina in the studio and to be able to talk with her today. How are you doing today, Lina?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
That's good. That's good. Well, it's good to have you here. And yeah, so let's jump right in. I'm excited to get to know more about your background because of course we've had our conversations about film scoring and everything and school and those conversations are fun. But I think this is so authentic because we're getting to know each other on an even better level at this point. Yeah, so you just want to start from the beginning, like what got you into music, what got you into to college, or like what started it, like what was the where did it start from?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I've just always been around music. My family is very artsy. My mom teaches theater at Texas State, actually. Um, so I've just always been immersed in like music and musical theater. I've kind of just grown up with it. So when I was 4, my parents signed me up for a string project at UT, actually. So all the little kids that you see running around with tiny violins, that was me way back when. Going to class on Saturday mornings and buying donuts. um, yeah, but I played violin for about 5 years through string project, and then um, when I was about 8 or 9, my parents ended up getting divorced, and my mom and I moved into a new house, and that house had a housemate who happened to be a piano teacher, and that was one of the best things that could have happened to me, honestly, because she was not only an amazing musician as she is, but she was also just a great friend and mentor to me growing up. So she really inspired me to pick up piano. So that's kind of how I got into piano. And then throughout middle school, I was doing piano. High school, I actually wanted to be a filmmaker. I was always into cameras. I still am. And I was just making films with toys, just like stop motion animations, things like that. So in high school, I took an animation class, 2D computer animation, and it taught me two things. First of all, animation is like crazy hard, and that's not what I'm meant to do, but it's also very rewarding, like mad respect for people who can do that. But it also taught me that I was able to write music for my own animation that I did. So that kind of showed me that I could combine music and filmmaking and storytelling all into one thing. So that's how I found film composition. Um, and then I applied to UT for AET, which stands for Arts, UT, University of Texas at Austin, and AET stands for Arts and Entertainment Technology. Um, it was a new program at the time. I kind of thought it would be like a blend of filmmaking and music, but in reality, it was kind of because it was so new, it was all over the place and didn't really know what it wanted to be yet. So, in a way, that was kind of good for me because it allowed me to kind of build my own major, I guess. So, that gave me a lot of opportunity and also showed me how to do like music technology, I guess, which is something that I don't think I would have gotten at Butler. Um, But then on the other hand, I wasn't really receiving compositional feedback so much. So I ended up adding a double major, getting into Butler. 2 days later, after I got my acceptance letter, COVID hit. So that was a bummer. All of my AET friends, they graduated online and they went off to do their own thing. Um, but my first year of music classes was all on Zoom, and it was uh, all like the basic music classes, I guess. But my second year of music courses, so my 5th year, that was in person, and I was able to meet all my music major friends and just get to know people. And it really taught me the importance of like human connection and making friends, music friends who's like, that's my people, I guess. So it was really great. And I got to meet you and so many others just hanging out in George's Cafe, Snarfs, just spontaneous lunches and stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. You know, I didn't know you were no, I think you did tell me you were a violinist. I knew you were a pianist because I was like, I suck at piano, right? So
No.
I don't even know how I compose. I'm just like, individually plucking notes on the sequencer. But like it's crazy. Yeah, that's really, really, really cool. Uh um so you started with violin, piano, that led to photography, or photography was just kind of in the mix of all that, or it was kind of like you're just multi-talented, you have all these things going
I've
on.
always liked photography. I don't know. It's like a side thing I do.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, because I think that's so interesting because even starting in the process for me, I think uh I gravitated towards film because I started liking photography too, and so
Oh,
I
really?
thought that, yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Well, I never took pictures with it because I was like, oh, let me just get my phone out and just like try to take pictures of things. It never really
Yeah.
worked out, but I was like, okay, well, that's not going to go anywhere for me. But it kind of like led into me being interested in film, and so I'm just curious, how did that um give you a more like a photography give you a drive into to analyzing a film more, or did you, well, you talked about anime, you talked about how you were trying to make your own versions of I'm sorry, animation of
Yeah.
you were trying to make your own versions of animation, and so photography was a segue into that, right? Or was it, or am I just like,
A little bit. I mean, because it's stop motion, it's like you take one picture, you move the thing. It's very tedious, and I didn't
oh,
really keep up with it that much because it's so tedious. Um,
okay.
but yeah, I had a camera, and so I was able to start doing stuff like that.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I was just curious and I was thinking about that. I was like, that's maybe that's the thing with filmmakers and film composers. Or, we started with photography, but anyway, that's not the point. So like were there any films that you like, growing up that just like served as your inspiration for like, okay, these films are awesome, and then you notice the music and you're just like, okay, I wanna make music like that. I know everybody has their favorite film composer, but like, were there any films that were just like, wow, that film's awesome. I wanna to be a part of the process of making a film like that. Were there any
I
films like
mean,
that for you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've always been a huge Harry Potter fan, so I definitely say that the movies, not just the music, but just the way that they made me feel. I
Mhm.
was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I want to be a part of creating this magic for someone else. And music is iconic, obviously. So I would definitely say that's a big factor. Um, but I mean, I always grew up on Disney movies, Pixar, stuff like that. So the music in those are great. Um, Spirit, that's a really good one. Hans
Oh
Zimmer
yeah,
does.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I feel like not a lot of people know about it, but it's DreamWorks. It's really good.
Yeah, all these old films, like one big one for me was Treasure Planet growing up. I love that
Oh yeah,
film. Atlantis, The Lost Empire was another one. The score is done by James Newton Howard, very prominent composer. But
yeah.
yeah, they like this. Yeah, they're just so great, great, great films. So you mentioned Harry Potter. What else did you mention? You mentioned.
Harry Potter and then just like Disney Pixar movies. I don't know, as a kid I never gravitated like towards animated human movies. That sounds so weird, but like I was always loving the animal stuff. I think that's why I like Pixar so much. So like
Yeah.
Nemo, Monsters Inc. I don't know,
Mhm.
like non-human.
Yeah. so you
Wally,
ne-
Kung Fu Panda.
so you never got into anime much, or is it
Anime?
like,
I never really got into anime, honestly, but I have a lot of friends who like love it or loved it. So
yeah, I'm not a big anime person, but yeah, that's really cool because like, yeah, a lot of the I think about a lot of the things that like push me forward and like my I guess I don't want to say style or voice in music come from those sources. Would you feel that that's the same way for you, or how do you think your voice, like, based upon your experiences with film in the past, are there any films or anything that you feel your voice is
like
what's the
shaped
word?
by.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question, actually. I I'm not sure. I think I definitely gravitate towards melodic melodies, I guess. And so I think that's one thing that I really like to work on in my music is just making a memorable melody that a listener can latch onto. So I mean, I feel like a lot of film scores are very melodic, but also a lot of them aren't. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think too, like especially with me growing up with that thematic, Treasure Planet, like for example, the thematic material was like always been it always stuck with me, like you mentioned, and it was so memorable that I was like, well, I want to make music that's going to stick with people too, and I think, for me personally, in my opinion, I think that's an important part of film as a whole. But I see can understand why people wouldn't do it too, because modern film, it has its take on film scoring as a whole. But yeah, no, I was just curious. Because yeah, I was just wondering. So in UT. So you had your time at UT, AET, and then you transferred into composition department. So how was that transfer for you? So was the like was it difficult going from like, I'm not sure exactly what AET does, so please forgive me. But
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure either, so it's okay.
art, entertainment, technology. I'm like video games, right? Is
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. So
okay?
basically like the program, it was really new when I started. So it was about 2 years old in existence, but like I was the first class that it
Mhm.
had. Um, so it was kind of it started off being divided into three sections. So one of them was animation, one of them was music and sound, and then the last one was video games. Um, but because video games is where all the money is, video games started taking up most of the classes and pushing away music and sound ones. So I pretty much took all of the music and sound classes by like sophomore year. So
Mhm.
I was like, what am I gonna do for the rest of my time at UT?
Yeah.
And like I said, like I definitely learned the technological aspects, like how to write in Logic, and I think that's one thing that I gained from AET that really set me apart from other composers. But then, like I said, I didn't really get compositional feedback in AET or as much as I would have liked, and so that's why I added the comp major.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's really cool to be able to transition, like, because for me, I just kind of started in like composition lessons. So I never really, I took synth courses, but I never really came from a whole completely different department. So there was always some type of compositional, support. And so when you finally got into the music school, how did you feel at that moment? Did you feel like you could, really explore your musical taste, or what was that? What was that like when you finally got into music school?
When I finally got in, I was like so excited. And also, I forgot to mention that when I was in AET, I was taking like non-major piano lessons, just like continuing with those. And then I was also studying with Professor Grantham, just private lessons. They didn't really count for AET, so it was like extra.
Mhm.
But then once I got the comp major, then those counted for lessons. So that was good. But yeah, getting into Butler was like amazing. I never really saw myself going to Butler just because I had like been there for string project. I was like, okay, I'm done with this chapter. But
Mhm.
I got into Butler, so I was very excited and getting to study with all the composers there and just meet other composers was really awesome.
Mhm.
So I was definitely super excited about all that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And Dr. Grantham, he's great. We studied orchestration with him together, and he's very elaborate.
Yeah, he knows all of his stuff.
Yeah,
Actually, funny story,
yeah.
like in my orchestration class here at NYU, my prof like pulls out a book and it's Professor Grantham's orchestration book. I was
Really, wow. That's
historical
funny.
moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal composer and instructor too. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so you now you went off to NYU. It's been a year now, right? or this is
It
the
has been like pretty much a year, which is totally crazy. Like I was just talking with some friends earlier and we're like halfway done with the program. What do we do? Oh my God.
yeah.
Moment of panic.
Yeah. So what was that transition there? Because like now you're because I think UT's it's very conservatory focused. So there's a lot of performance, a lot of while
Yeah.
there were opportunities to study film music as a elective, I would say more as an elective than anything else.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were in an actual program for film scoring, so it's kind of like it's not like going to Berkeley College or going to any program that's dedicated to studying music for multimedia. So what was that like going from like a conservatory setting to specifically film music or screen scoring?
Yeah, great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is just like all the people in my program are interested in composing for film and multimedia. So just getting to be around other composers who want to do what I do is really fun. Always great to talk to them and just what they're listening to, just learn more about them. It's always really fascinating and a fun experience for me. But I guess also just taking classes that are more focused in what I want to do is really helpful, really good. I took right now, I guess last semester was more of basic courses like film history, composition lessons, forum, which is guest speakers coming in. I'm missing one more. Contemporary scoring techniques which was just like learning the tech side, which I already knew a lot of thanks to AET. But just like speeding up shortcuts and that kind of workflow tips. And then this semester, I'm taking scoring techniques for film and animation, music editing with a phenomenal professor. She's working on the new Barbie movie by Greta
Oh
Gerwig.
wow. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. She's like the sweetest professor ever. And then again, comp lessons and forum for composers. But just getting like more specified courses is really great, and I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool. I agree with you 100% on being able to, you know, to have courses that are just in depth and that specific study, because I think it's relatively new, especially to schools like that are conservatory focused. I think it's kind of like a whole other side of the spectrum, because you have the classical world, then there's like the music business world, and then there's like like I think multimedia is a part of that music business world, which I can't say that I've fully been able to discover or uncover at UT, but yeah, I think it's really cool to be in a program, and I'm happy that you're in a program that allows you to do that. So what's your process like? Or I don't know if this is intrusive, but on your creative focus. But I was just curious, what is your process like when say somebody sends you a clip, somebody says I want this scored. I don't know what they would send anyway. That they would send you a film, and how would you approach that? What would you do during spotting, or how's your workflow? Go.
Yeah. Also, before I answer that, I just want to say like what you were saying about UT being like a conservatory and like music business, music tech, everything's so separated. I don't know why that is, because I feel like conservatory is very traditional, which I understand, but like at the same time, I feel like they should be moving with the future, like what's happening.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
don't really get it. It's kind of annoying.
yeah.
But my process. I get the film clip and I watch it through. Typically, I try to watch it if it's like a rescore, I watch it without the original music. Because I'm always afraid of like accidentally copying the temp or something like that. But if it doesn't have music, I typically just watch it through, just kind of see like what my emotional response is, I guess. So like just like how I would feel in general, what emotion I'm picking up. And then the second pass, I typically kind of pinpoint specific scenes or like specific points where I'm like, oh, here's an emotional change. Or here's like an awkward silence that could be filled up with music, that kind of thing. So I just mark down those spots. And then if I'm talking to a director, we'll kind of go over where we think music could go together, or like we can compare cue sheets, or a lot of the time actually I've like it's just over Zoom talking to directors, so we can watch it through together, or they send it ahead of time. But yeah, and then I guess when I'm composing, I use like the markers in Logic to write the emotional impact, places where music could be, stuff like that. And typically, I guess I start at my studio, which is just like in my apartment, just a little piano keyboard and my computer on the, it's like an AC stand on an extra keyboard stand, so my creative desk. And I just kind of write on the piano. Typically, I start with accompaniment, I guess, or like a chord progression, and then I add on melody. But I don't have like a set way, so sometimes it's the other way around too. And I guess what I typically do is kind of start from the start of the clip and then compose as I'm watching, unless there's like a big pause or something, then I'll go to the next one. But I typically like to compose linearly, which I'm realizing is not always great, because the professor was telling me like sometimes it's better to just compose a big chunk for like the big music scene, and then you can kind of take elements of what you've already composed and use those for smaller moments. So I think that's a really smart idea instead of just going linearly. So I want to change that.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that, because I know like some composers are very, they like, try to keep their process more internal. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I think that really like helps me reevaluate how I approach things too. Because like I know sometimes my approach is not the most effective way of doing things. But we get the job done anyway. But
yeah. And like it changes with the film, so it's not like that's like my set way, but that's like typically, I guess, what I would do.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
and so like how does it feel to like be able to like how do I want to phrase this? So NYU is literally one of the top schools for film scoring in the United States. How does it feel to be like in a clout school? I guess is my question. For film scoring. How does that feel?
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, I can go anywhere and just say NYU and people know what I'm talking about. So that's fun. But not everybody knows what screen scoring is. So half the time I have to like explain like, oh, I'm a film composer, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. How has it affected your network? Do you think it's helped your network in terms of like the industry, and like you mentioned like forums, like you've had guest speakers come in and talk about I'm assuming industry stuff, and different practices and stuff like that. How has going to NYU affected your overall view of the industry, or has it helped you, or what do you think of it?
That's a good question. It's definitely made me realize like how big the industry can be, but at the same time, it kind of shows you like how small it can be too, because it gives you like a personal level of getting to see what it's like by bringing in all these big composers. So I think that's really cool. My favorite composer that has been brought in is Carlos Rafael Rivera, who did Queen's Gambit, which I like absolutely love the score on. So I was like, oh my God. And got to listen to one of my scores. So that was really cool. Wait, what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Let's see if I remember the question.
Just like it was about
industry, how NYU's helped with understanding the practice of the industry, how has it changed your perception of the industry, and I believe that was the question.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of answered it. And then also, I guess NYU has like a decent sized network of alumni who are scoring projects or have scored projects. So getting the opportunity to reach out to them after graduation, or even now, I guess, like technically I should be looking for internships for summer and stuff, which I've started, but like I don't know, it's daunting, but basically there's a big opportunity to just reach out to people from the program or NYU or filmmakers. And then also just the people in my program. I didn't realize like how international NYU is, I guess. Like obviously it's international, but like most of the program is international students. So that's really cool to me, just getting to meet composers from, not just composers, but like people from all over the world. That's really cool to me, and just getting to expand my network that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool too, because like I can say from my personal perception, I can now like see as like I'm leaving undergraduate now, like I'm a part of this community, and I'm like, oh wow, it's like, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was. Even though like all of us are like, we go to different schools, so like, whatever school we go to, we're all part of this like niche community where it's not everybody knows everybody, but there are a lot of connections to other
There are a lot
connections
of
to, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel like half of the time I'm just like adding people on Instagram and connecting with people that way. And I'm always like, wow, so and so knows all of these other people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of a community like that, and to really, I guess, also celebrate these successes of your also of your our colleagues, I guess we could say, but also be able to help others in their journeys as well. So I think that's really cool to be a privilege to be a part of that process. But
Yeah, I feel like the community is like so supportive and uplifting, and everybody just wants everyone to be their, be the best version of themselves and listen to
yeah.
their music and stuff. So it's really, really great.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where we are 20 years from now,
Yeah, I know. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
it's scary.
God forbidding, I'm alive that long. So anyway, I'm not gonna go
What?
down that path anyway. But so let's talk about recording for a little bit. How has recording been for you? Or how does it, how have you been feeling about like recording as a whole? Cause I know like UT like
Recording like
was
recording
almost
sessions.
non-existent. Yeah, recording sessions like recording like was almost non-existent at UT. Well, I mean, no,
Yeah,
it wasn't non-existent, but only specific.
very hard to come by, I guess.
Yeah, and especially when it came to your projects, it wasn't like you were like actually behind a console watching your score in time with click and stuff like that. So how was that, how's that for you? Like did you like do you like it better, or would you prefer not to record and just do everything in the box, or yeah, how do you?
Yeah, I definitely think overall in general recordings are like they're gold. Like that's what you want. That's the end goal, I think, for every composer is to have their work not composed obviously, but to have it recorded. Um I think at NYU, like what they do is every semester we get a recording session. We get two recording sessions. So last semester it was a world winds player who is he played on the new Babylon movie.
Mm,
Um and then we also had a string quartet. So I guess just having like those instrumentations assigned already, like that what you have to work with is nice. And also you don't have to find players because at UT you have to find players and everybody's
yeah,
scrambling.
yeah.
So that can be stressful. Um, this semester I just had a percussion recording in this new building, the one that I'm in right now, which
Mm,
and the recording space is like amazing. It's so gorgeous. Um, so that just happened last week. And then there's also a guitar recording coming up. But basically, to answer your question, getting the experience of like being in the room, listening to your music being recorded is something that I don't think I'll ever forget because it's like your moment, like your child is being born, I guess,
yeah.
in a funny way.
Yeah.
Like just getting to hear your music come alive,
Yeah,
like literally with having humans play it is just something that I'll never get over.
yeah.
Um, and then being in the recording studio is fun. You get to like see everybody playing and you're just in the box. I haven't had a chance to record or like to conduct my own scores. I don't know if that's something that I would ever be interested in. I just find conducting kind of daunting, but we'll see. But yeah, just getting the opportunity to be in the room where it happens is really, really cool.
That's awesome. And like I can like relate with you, except in my experience when hearing my music, I'm like cringing. I'm like, like this is what it sounds like with live, because we're so used to hearing MIDI. We're so used
Yeah,
to hearing
yeah,
MIDI besides the samples, of course, but but yeah, it's just like when you have like live musicians play your thematic material, it's like, oh my goodness, here we go. And then
yeah.
so it's just, yeah, but it is a surreal moment when they really breathe life into the music that you write. It's a really cool experience. And so yeah,
Yeah.
so
Like on the other hand, like sometimes things won't like because they're humans and they're live musicians, things don't always go as you plan for them to go. So
mhm,
that can be kind of surprising, but I think just getting the experience of that and not learning to not base everything off of samples and
yeah,
libraries is a really important skill or
yeah,
thing to grasp, I guess.
yeah.
So
That's really cool. So is there
yeah.
anything else you want to talk about, or is there any well, I know especially in like the film industry, you kind of keep, especially when it comes to products, we keep them under wraps. So, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be Jimmy Fallon asking you to give any spoilers or anything. But
Yeah.
are there any pieces that you have being premiered, or you have anything that you're working on that you would like to talk about, or your website? I know you have a website. Please excuse me, I don't
Oh yeah.
remember. Yeah,
I do
you
have a
want to tell
website.
us?
It's just my name, so linabreiningmusic.com. But I try to keep it pretty updated. So like that's where I post projects that I'm doing or like scores, music and stuff. In terms of projects, I've got a couple of things like coming up, but most of them are pretty early days, so like not even shot yet. But I've been in communication with some directors in Tisch about projects, and then I just finished a movie, just like a short movie from a director from UT, actually. Not well, like the yes, a director from UT or a friend from UT who was the editor. But I was able to work on that project, and that will be played at Austin Film Festival
Oh,
soon. I actually
nice,
don't know the details.
nice.
Yeah, maybe you can see it if you get a chance. It's
Speaking
called
of oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh, it's called Don't Move On, Move Forward.
Oh,
So
that's a really cool, yeah, that's a really cool title. Do you want to mention your also speaking of film festival, you just had you just scored a short that was actually um played at AFI Fest last semester.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah, that was through UT. So I Sam Lipman, he teaches film scoring at UT. He's awesome. He was able to get me connected with AFI, the American Film Institute. And so basically my last semester at UT, I was working on a movie, a short film called oh my God, it's called I Thought the Earth Remembered Me.
Mhm.
And getting to work with the director, it was all on Zoom, but just getting to make that connection and that experience of writing and working just on a project like that of that scale was really cool. And yeah, it was played at the AFI Film Festival last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
oh, I was just saying that was a really great experience for me, and I loved working with the director.
Yeah, that's awesome. That it's really, and I wasn't, I didn't actually see the film, but I saw it in the, because I was actually at AFI Fest and I was scrolling through the itinerary, and I was like, wait, I know this film, or at least I've seen this film on my on the Instagram. And I was like, I
Yeah,
think Lina scored the music to this film. And so I sent a message to Lina, and I was like, did you score this film? She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, it's playing at AFI Fest. And I was like, yeah. So it was really cool to be able
well, it's
to
so
see
cool that
that.
you got to go there. Like, I wish I could have gone, but I just didn't have a
Yeah,
chance.
busy. We all, yeah, we have busy schedules. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, it was awesome to have you on the for the interview series, Lina, and I'm excited for your career in screen scoring, and to see where where we'll both be 5, 10, 15 years from now, and so it's going to be exciting stuff. So do you have anything you wanna or any final comments you want to make about anything or?
I mean, thank you so much for having me. I've loved talking with you. I guess if anybody is interested in composing for film or anything, just reach out to me. Just shoot me an email. Um, I can give it to you now or later. I guess it's on my website, so yeah, just go there. But yeah, if just keep practicing your craft and yeah.
It's awesome. Again, it was awesome to have you on board again, Lina, and we'll see you soon. And best wishes for the end of your semester of your first half of your program, and we'll look forward to seeing more of your work throughout the next year.
Thank you so much, and likewise to you as well.
All right, we'll catch you later.
All right. Thank you again.